Hey everybody, hey YouTube, hey subscribers, thanks for tuning in. I want to do this video today on a topic I'm going to call dangerous cliches. I am a lover of reading, I love writing, I love learning new things, and I kind of just love studying society and social interactions. And one thing that I've discovered is particularly dangerous to people who have codependency issues or people who are struggling with a narcissist in their life is the use of cliche statements as a coverall and an answer for everything. I actually really despise cliches. I hate them. I can't stand them for many reasons. One, it's a substitute for thinking. Now, there are some principles in life that are just so true, there's no other way to put them. So that's fine. But usually it's just a substitute for thinking. Two, a lot of cliches actually have meaning, but they've been lost in the cliche itself. So it's been said so many times by so many different people, you can almost predict it out of total strangers, depending on the scenario. It's lost its meaning. And third, for individuals who tend to be codependent, cliches keep you powerfully bound to narcissists, and narcissists love them. Oh, they probably know all of them. I only have about 8 or 9 written here, but they probably have a whole library, a whole content library full of cliches that they use on people. Because one thing about cliches is they're very confusing sometimes, meaning not the cliche itself is confusing, but it confuses your mind, because now your mind is going with what it feels against what it's just been told. So I guess that's your heart, what it feels, and your mind is struggling with what it's just been told. And it's just, it causes someone to doubt themselves and remain in a situation longer than they should, because, as we'll get into a few of the cliches here in a minute, the cliches tend to write off a lot, and that's why I don't like them. So let's get into a few, and if you can think of any as I'm speaking, please put them in the comments down below, because I know that there's a ton that I've left out, and I'll probably do a part 2 video to catch all for the rest of the cliches that I've left out. So here we go. Number 1, it is what it is. Oh God, I hate this one so much. Is what it is. So you're in a really bad situation at work, you have a narcissistic boss, you're struggling, you're starting to sink into depression, you're starting to experience the physical ailments of dealing with a person like this who has control over your livelihood, and people tell you, you know, it is what it is. That's life. That's work. You know, work sucks. These aren't on my list. I'm just rolling them off. But it causes you to resign yourself and say, well, I guess that is what it is. I shouldn't fight. I shouldn't stand up for myself. I shouldn't ask any more questions. That's another thing cliches tend to do. They tend to shut down the question asking that your brain does seeking answers. Okay? So it is what it is. Total cop out, can't stand it. Number 2, and they're not all related. They kind of bounce all over the place. Just roll with me. Number 2, family is all you've got. So you have a narc family. You might have narcissistic parents, a narcissistic brother or sister, cousin, uncle, aunt. It really doesn't matter what type of family member it is, but there's enough of them, or it could only be just one, that's causing you enough pain and hurt and drama in your life that if you could, you would completely go no contact, never speak to them again, and you would move on with your life. That right there is actually like a daydream for you. That right there is heaven on earth. If you could just cut them off, move on, and pretend that they never existed. Wish them well and pretend they never existed. But people will tell you, when you open up to individuals who don't understand this, or individuals who've been so brainwashed by these cliches that they don't question them anymore, they'll always look at you and go, well, family's all you got. Family's all you got. In other words, no matter what family dishes out, no matter what family does to you, no matter what family puts you through, family's all you got. So you got to take it. I disagree with that. I think there are some families that are so dysfunctional and disorderly that honestly they should be dismantled, and everyone should be given the opportunity to go their own separate way, change their name, change their social, but the family unit itself should be disbanded. Family's all you got. Now, you got other people. You got friends who aren't narcissists. You've got coworkers who aren't narcissists. You've got your spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend who's not a narcissist. You have other people. You don't have to stay in an abusive situation just because you're related. Because the way they treat you, you would never know that you were actually related. Number 3, be thankful for the job you have. So this one is often used at narcissist safe havens. And the premise behind this one is, yeah, you're getting abused. We all are. But man, work is tough. Work is hard to come by these days. So you need to be thankful that you have employment at all. You need to be thankful you're working at all. And in other words, just take the abuse because you have a paycheck coming. And that should be enough for anybody to just take narcissistic abuse off of a boss. So, be thankful. Be thankful you got a job at all. Not true. There's abundant opportunity out here. If you live in a city where there are no jobs, move. Pack it up and move. Do whatever you can to get out. That's what I did. I was in a city where employment was incredibly limited, and I just looked around and I saw that a lot of people's lives were failing. And I didn't want that for myself, so I left. If you're looking for a job, you can drive for Uber. You can drive for Lyft. You can deliver groceries in your spare time. They've got that now. There's a lot of little things you can do to bring in cash. You do not have to take abuse from a job. Number 4, nobody's perfect. I hate this one almost as much as I hate it is what it is. Nobody's perfect is a coverall that excuses everything. It excuses bad behavior. It excuses mistakes which were really intentionals. It excuses a lot. And a lot of people in relationships tend to tell themselves this when they're trying to write off their boyfriend or girlfriend's bad behavior. Well, nobody's perfect. So once again, nobody's perfect. So I should just go ahead, take the abuse because I'm not perfect. I'm not a perfect person either. So why would I expect my boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife to be perfect when I'm not even perfect? So that one right there will get you caught up for a long time, and it'll have you writing off a lot of stuff until you realize, yeah, nobody's perfect, but imperfect people don't go out doing things on purpose that hurt others, and they also don't repeat the same mistakes that have been brought to their attention. So you're imperfect. I bring something to your attention that hurt me. You say, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that hurt you so much. I apologize. And then you don't do it again. That's what normal people do. Okay? You have to forgive, or a subset of this one is forgive and forget. So I could actually do a whole separate video on this one, but I won't. But you have to forgive. In other words, no matter what someone has done to you, you have to forgive them as you've been forgiven. And you're going to do things in the future that are going to require forgiveness. So, you have to forgive others for their shortcomings, right? And again, it's the difference between a shortcoming and an intentional. When someone does something to you on purpose, that's not a shortcoming. They decided that. They acted upon that. It wasn't a mistake. So I say you forgive in the sense of you figure out all you can to figure out how to release the anger, the anxiety, the sadness, cry it out, go to therapy. But you should never forget, because that's how you keep yourself safe. But you have to forgive, or forgive and forget. No, you have to do the work to figure out how not to become ill from all the anger and the emotions that these people put you through. And to me, that's forgiveness, where you no longer feel those emotions inside. And then, but you should never forget. You shouldn't, because that's how also we get ourselves looped back into these situations. We deal with these dangerous people, then some time passes, we forget what they've done. And if you don't journal, if you don't have a very good memory, you really will forget what they've done, and you'll let them do it again and again and again. Or someone else will come along with the same characteristics, and they'll do it again and again and again and again. So here's another one that goes in this triad, I'll call it. Don't judge. Don't judge. You cannot be judgmental. Do not judge others. And no, you shouldn't judge, because you don't know what other people have gone through, what they're going through. You don't know what led up to this point. So there's a perfect example of a cliche that has truth, but here's how it becomes dangerous for people who suffer from codependency or have been victims of narcissistic abuse. You're not judging, and you're also not analyzing. So something happens, you look away, or you excuse it, or you write it off because you're trying not to be judgmental. And that's very sweet, but at the same time, your lack of willingness to be judgmental is how this person is able to operate. It's the reason they're able to operate in your life, because you won't judge them. So they do whatever. They live out their wildest dreams, because they know if you hear about it or you catch wind of it, you're not going to do anything because you're not judgmental. You're not a judgmental person. You don't want to be judged, so you don't judge others. And that's fair enough. You really shouldn't just walking around making assessments of people, but you should be taking note, is what I'm saying. So if someone does something to you disrespectful, or one of their first little narc tests on you, and you take note of it, that's not being judgmental. That's being aware. That's being alert. That's being smart. That's protecting yourself. You have to be alert. All your guards are down. All of your defenses are down. And as a result, these people are able to just move right in, swoop right in, and do what they want to do, because you're non-judgmental. You think that nobody's perfect, okay? You think it is what it is, So you have all these loose boundaries, and that's why they're able to just kick field goals in your life. We're on number 7 now. Quitters never win. Oh, determination. Oh, that stick-with-itness. Oh, that grit. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Without that, there's a lot of things that wouldn't get done. There's a lot of projects that wouldn't get finished. There's a lot of products and services that would not exist if people did not have that ability to stick with something, to not quit, to push forward, push through. And it's a good quality to have. So there's another cliche that's true. However, here's where it goes wrong for you. You're in a dysfunctional, unhealthy relationship, and you know it at this point. But there's a part of you who says, you know what? I'm not going to quit. Or it gets even worse when you've had parents who may have had a dysfunctional marriage, but they stuck it out. They stayed together. They've been married 30, 40, 50 years. And all we're really celebrating here is 30, 40, or 50 years of dysfunction. It's not necessarily an accomplishment when the relationship you've been in is fundamentally unhealthy. Sticking with something, not quitting something that's bad for you, is not an accomplishment. It's not something to be proud of. You really should examine why you're willing to keep going, even though all the odds are telling you this is not going to work. And there's lots of stories online. People love these kinds of stories. Relationships that failed, they broke up, they dated other people, and then somehow magically came back together. And you get very attached to your narcissist. And so people believe that if I just stick it out, if I just stick with it, then eventually, we'll make it. And no, you won't. There'll be a lot of collateral damage afterward. And there'll be a lot of resentment for the fact that the relationship didn't work out after you put forth so much effort. Quitters do win sometimes. Sometimes you need to quit. Throw in the towel, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away. Okay? And that's it of my current list. I certainly will discover more, especially as I hear more in the days and weeks to follow. And as I come across more cliches, I'll share them with you. I would love to know what cliches you've heard or that kind of play into this. Please leave that in the comments down below. And as always, I thank you so much for listening and tuning in. Take care.